What's going on, YouTube, man? Good morning. I have some unfortunate news to report today. All right, the death of Kazuki Anaguchi. He was involved in one of the best fights of the year. I know it was the last card of the year. The fight was on December 26th, and it was against Seiya Tsutsumi. All right, this was on the undercard of Naoya Inoue against Marlon Tapales. That big fight, that undisputed fight at 122. Okay. A lot of you guys were here the morning of that fight. I was up early doing live commentary with you guys, not how we normally did. And that fight between Anaguchi and Tsutsumi was a phenomenal fight. It was a phenomenal fight. I mean, action from start to finish. A bantamweight fight. Two Japanese fighters, two that I haven't watched much before this fight. And it was a great fight. I mean, drama, knockdowns of Anaguchi. But the fact that Anaguchi was winning, he was outboxing Tsutsumi. But Tsutsumi, who was the more experienced fighter, the more known fighter, just kept finding ways to knock down Anaguchi. All right. Several times throughout the fight. I remember the fight well because it was a fight that I was considering adding to my top 5 or top 10 best fights of the year of 2023. And then we had an amazing 23. So many good performances. It was a list that it was very hard to do. But I didn't want to include this fight on that list because I was fearful of the result of Anaguchi's condition. And if you were here that morning, I don't know how many other channels that was live that morning, but if you were here, you heard the fear of his condition in my voice at the end of that fight. In the remaining seconds of the last round, Anaguchi got dropped again. All right, I think this might have been like the third or fourth time in the fight, but he was knocked down. But the way he looked in his corner, he couldn't stand. He looked very exhausted. He looked like he was shaking, and I was pretty much yelling at the TV, get this guy to the hospital immediately because we've seen this before. We've seen this a few times before, where the fight is over or a specific round is over and a fighter looks completely exhausted, look like they're barely able to stand. He finished the fight out like a warrior, but this is one of the parts of boxing. This is the most unfortunate parts of boxing. You can die from this. You can die. And when you have too much heart, you might pay for it with your life. And that's what we saw that day. I know everybody's going to run and watch the fight now. I mean, listen, it was a great fight. I'm sure many of these fighters would rather go out that way instead of quitting, or having a premature stoppage. I don't really know what to say. I've often been asked, how do we avoid this from happening? And it's like you can't avoid it. This is boxing, and people want to see good fights like this one. This is the kind of fight, if you didn't see the fight, this was one of those kind of fights. It was a top 5 fight of the year. Easily. And this is why I choose, and some of you guys get mad. I see your comments. Some of you guys get mad. You think I don't call it when a fighter quits. I don't go as hard on Kell Brook or Daniel Dubois. I don't call them quitters. They took as much punishment as they can take. I understand that the other fighters can fight with a broken jaw. You know, I understand that. I know there's fighters that's been able to do it, and I appreciate your courage. But there are certain fighters that just they took enough and they want to live the fight at another day. I can't call them quitters for that. I can't. I'm not in there. You guys are not in there neither. Even if you do box, you're not in there on the elite level. You know. So this is why I say, you know, this is why I have respect for the fighters. All right. And I always will. That will never change, whether you like it or not. This is why I have respect. You know, as far as his condition, he went into a coma. You know, he had a brain bleed, you know, and they went straight into surgery after that fight. And he was in a coma all this time, and he just passed away. I don't know if it's actually today. Today's the 2nd of February. So, you know, the news has been pumping on social media for the last, I don't know, 5-6 hours or so. All right. But great fight, you know, and very young, only 23 years old. This is what happens for our entertainment, because let's be real, this has always been this way. Even when you watch the movies and the series of like Spartacus and Gladiator, where they're fighting in the Coliseum, you know, at the end of the day, when the ruler of it all was given the thumbs up, what happened? The people booed. They cheered when they said thumbs down, thumbs down. You know what that means? Take his life. The loser, take his life. And people cheered. And this is what we love. We love it. But you know, I mean, boxing is special. It's not for everyone. Same with MMA. But this is the unfortunate part about the sport we love. You know, we're gonna get these every once in a while. And I can tell you, I was very concerned. I saw it. And this is not the first time I called it. I've called it other times. You know, you don't want to be right on that. But when you see a fighter, I was very concerned when Conceição fought Navarrete. You know, it's like getting knocked out. They say that getting knocked out quickly is not as dangerous. It's not as much trauma on your head than taking punishment for 12 rounds. You know, and Conceição, he left it all in there and in the ring, and I was very concerned about him after the Navarrete fight because he looked very similar. He looked like he could barely stand. He looked like he was completely out of it, and everybody wrote him off, but it ended up being a very close fight. It was a draw. You know, these guys leave it all in the ring. You gotta respect it, but your life is on the line. All right, there's no way to do it better. You know, there's no way to do it better because that Anaguchi wouldn't have wanted to quit. He wouldn't have wanted the fight to be stopped. He was still fighting. He was still winning rounds. He was winning the last round. You guys were here. He was winning the last round. He got knocked down like 2 seconds left in the fight. You know? Made a video years ago. Check it out. Meldrick Taylor against Julio Cesar Chavez. Was the stoppage legit? Made it years ago. It's still up. Check it out. Some of you guys still tune in and check it out. A lot of the old heads go and find that video. They leave comments every once in a while. Anyway, man, just, you know, for the boxers, you know, be safe out there. You know, I know there is a way to quit. There happens. But, you know, when you're taking too much punishment, you know, I know these guys want to win and they got the heart. But, you know, fight another day, you know. Reserve that, reserve your body, reserve your mind, man. Taking too many hits to the head, you know, for our entertainment and for your livelihood, sometimes it's just better, to take the L, take the knee, fight another day. But in this situation here, the guy was performing well while he's suffering, his brain suffering. And I don't know which knockdown caused it, but he was hurt throughout the fight. All right. And the fact that he could just fight that well against Tsutsumi, being knocked down as many times as he did, just goes to show how much heart this dude had. All right. Anyway, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Rest in peace to Anaguchi, man. All right, great fight last year. And we'll be talking more boxing soon. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.